morning, everybody. Nikki Burnett here, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio, streaming live on KUHSdenver.com. And as always, this is the song that I always start with because it's my happy song. It's the best song ever created. So, KUHS, Taste Life Nutrition Radio. What are we all about? We are about truth in science, truth in healthcare, truth in what is good for you. There's more out there than what we're told. And so the best thing about this show is I bring on some of the most amazing people who do some of the most amazing things. Because when we have problems, when we have symptoms, whether they're mental, emotional, physical, psychological, whatever the case may be, there is so much out there that we have access to, and sometimes we just don't know about it. And so the goal is to have a lot of fun, is to bring to you all of the goodness that is out there and the goodness in people who want to be there to help, to guide, and to share the amazing knowledge that they have. So today we have Dr. Carrie. I keep wanting to say Dr. Carrie McCrudden. She just got married.
I did.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's so fun.
So it is fun. So it's Dr. Carrie Johansson.
Yes.
Yes. And she is a psychologist, and I think what we're going to talk about today is going to be so much fun because we get to we're going to talk about a lot of things, but bring together the mental and the emotional and food. Yes. And then other things. But that's such a big part of people's psyche, and the lack of, just can't figure out why we keep making the choices that we make, or, in all of these different things. So, anyway, hi.
Hi. It's so nice to be here.
Thanks for being here. I feel like it's been so long. We've been planning this forever, and it's finally here.
We have been.
And I have somebody finally in the studio with me, which means you're local to the Denver area.
I am.
Which is nice. We have so often, I'm talking right here,
yep.
And so it's just really good to have you in the studio with me, and I appreciate it. We always start the show with gratitude.
Absolutely.
What are you grateful for today?
It's funny, I was thinking about this last night, and I was feeling like I had a pile of things to choose from. Mm-hmm. And I was even just grateful that I had a pile of things to choose from.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love that.
So certainly, problems just like everybody else to field and sort. But I am incredibly grateful that I am in a place in my life where I can create and move towards creating the type of life that I want.
Yeah.
Hugely grateful for that. And just very, very grateful for really tiny things. So one of the neat things about getting married is I now have this new family construction, and we're all living together, and really tiny things are happening. Like I wake up in the morning and I get to make breakfast for my people. It sounds really small, but I love to cook, and I love to take care of people, and it is just really floating my boat.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's really good. We start the show with gratitude because I think probably a lot of people think that we should start our day with gratitude, all of us. It really, really makes a difference. And with so much of the craziness, life is always crazy. We're in a crazy time now, but life is always crazy no matter what. But if we start the day with gratitude, we all, in any situation, have many things to be grateful for. And so, think about that, write it down, journal about it, go to bed, after you write in your journal, whatever it is that works for you. But I think it's really, really important, and it really can change each of our energy, our mentality, and if we all make a point of doing that, that's a really big deal.
Absolutely, and it can shift your focus so quickly. I actually really enjoy ending my day with gratitude.
Yeah.
And in the middle of my day, especially if I'm feeling like, there's another problem, right? Like leaving the house this morning, the coffee spills, and there's a dental emergency for somebody else in my family. I'm just like, whoa, slow down. Yes, the coffee spilled. You were just fine.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a dental emergency.
Yeah.
And we live somewhere where we can fix that. So just that notion of in the moment gratitude,
Yeah.
and then for me closing my day with a
Mhm.
review and just a 1-sentence journal entry. I don't
Oh, make it easy. Yeah,
make it
that's
really
good.
easy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I like that. I am. Oh gosh, this is all sort of big. So, as many of you already know, you may not know, I will be 50 in just the 15th. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
50s are the best.
I think so. I'm excited. You know, the number, and every decade that number, like, okay, here's that number. But
it's
I am
a little bigger
yeah.
every year. It's really strange.
It is strange. It's a strange thing. You're like, okay, I got this. I feel amazing. I think I look pretty good.
Mhm.
I don't feel that number. I guess I don't feel what I would have expected that number to be when I was 10.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
50 is old. 50, your years are over,
Mhm.
But I feel like I'm really just getting started, in many ways. There's so much. I feel like I have so much more wisdom and excitement and confidence, and
Mhm.
I'm really excited. I said yesterday, and I'm not the only one to have said this, but if I don't turn 50, that's a problem.
Right.
It means I'm not here.
Yeah.
But with that being said, so last weekend I had a good friend of mine, it was a month ago, but she said, I have tickets to see, do you listen to country at all?
Country is my smallest version
Yeah,
of music,
yeah.
but
Well,
there's some that's really enjoyable.
There is. I'm a Texas girl.
Yeah.
Grew up in Texas, and have not always been all country, but the country that I love is good old country,
Yeah.
right? But there is this movement these days where there are these young guys playing good old kind of twangy country.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler Childers has become one of my favorite. Do you know Tyler
I do
Childers?
know Tyler
Yes,
Childers.
yes. He did. Have you heard of Robert O'Keefe?
No.
So he's all
I don't think-
Texas country.
His name is not as familiar.
He's
Okay.
from Texas and is Texas country.
Okay.
I'm sure he's gone outside of Texas. Well, he's been here, but anyway, so they were doing a benefit concert down close to San Antonio. I don't know if you're from Texas. It's there's a Fredericksburg area. It's an old German town, but anyway, it's this cool shopping.
Okay.
And sorry, this is getting to be a long story. Not my intent. Point is, she asked me if I wanted to go, and it was the concert. It was an orchestra hall in this tiny town in Kerrville, Texas, which is 22,000 people, and there were 300 people there.
But I still think you should say yes. Did you
Oh
get to
yeah,
say yes?
we went last weekend.
Oh, that's
Yes,
fantastic.
it was amazing. I mean, we were in the 8th row, so we're watching Tyler Childers and Robert O'Keefe up there singing their tails off and having so much fun. And then we spent the day drinking some wine because it's wine country down there.
Mhm.
Yes, Texas has a wine country. And did some shopping. Look at this cool shirt.
It is a
Look at this
really cool shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
All the embroidery on the
I
back.
know.
It's so great.
So anyway, that was my friend Tracy who took me down there, and we just had the best time. I got to spend some time, and it was I'm just grateful. She is a college friend.
Okay.
So I don't have a lot of friends that I really kept in touch with really well, but a few, right? Even a couple even from high school. But we all still stay in touch and are good friends, and it was just it's just nice to have. I'm grateful for good friends
Absolutely.
and good experiences and good music.
Mhm.
So anyway,
That's quite the trifecta, actually,
Yeah,
putting those
it is.
three together.
yeah.
It's wonderful.
So fun. So that's what I'm grateful for today, and for you being here. Thank you. This is going to be a fun conversation. Okay, so let's just kind of dig into the basics, and let's talk about who you are, how you got where you are, what it is that excites you and motivates you. What's your story?
Okay, so I had a very big year last year, so I'm actually going to start present and then kind of
Okay.
go back. So last year I had an enormous year. I turned 50, which by the way is just fantastic. I got engaged. My daughter turned 16, so we're doing the whole driving thing, which is
Yeah.
very fun. And my business turned 20.
That's amazing.
And then I
Congratulations.
got married.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was this kind of year, like a maximum kind of year.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was terrific about it was it really speaks to who I am and what's important to me. Healthy relationships, tip top of my tip top of my pyramid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Doing good work, helping people feel good in their lives.
Mhm.
One of the things I was listening to, I was going back and listening to a few of your other talks and interviews, and you talk a lot about truth, and you talk a lot about helping people live their best life.
I'm so glad you caught that, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what the show is. Thank you
Yes.
for that. Yeah.
So I love helping people figure out how to live their best life, and I love trying to help myself live my best life. And one of the things, and we'll talk a bunch more about this, but your best life is never perfect. It just isn't even close to perfect.
Yeah.
However, you can slow down and try to move towards the life you want on a really consistent basis.
Yeah.
And so I've been helping people do that in my therapy practice for 20 years and specialize in treating anxiety and trauma. But several years back, I got started taking a look at who changed and why. Because sometimes I'd have someone come in with just a appallingly bad trauma history. They would get better really fast. And I'd have someone come in who absolutely had a trauma history. You can't really put trauma on a continuum and pretend that one person's is worse than the other. Please never do that. However, you can also take a look at someone's trauma history and feel like, that certainly is a trauma, that is a problem, but they just would remain stuck in it. They would just be cycling in the trauma. And so I really dug into what helps people change, and a humongous piece of that is psychological flexibility. So started taking a look at digging into the research around how do we work with our brains and with our bodies, which are oftentimes set up instinctually to take care of us from back when we were cave people. Not very helpful.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I'm sure you talk about this all the time with nutrition. Of course sugar tastes good.
Yeah.
It's marvelous.
Yeah.
And our brains are trained to go, ooh, sugar. We should have more of that.
And it's getting worse and worse. Now it's just becoming an addiction.
Right.
But, yeah.
But, so if you can circle back and slow down, yes, instinctually this used to be really helpful for us. Now it's actually something we have to pay attention to and make choices around.
Yeah.
Because the availability of something is different now than it used to be. So, those are the sorts of things that I talk about, think about, work on. But the goal for me was to get more information about who changes and how can I more skillfully help people make changes that move them towards that best life.
Yeah. I love that. And, it's interesting. When I started this business, I had no concept of the amount of trauma that people deal with.
Yeah.
I've been very blessed in my life, and the things, because I do an intake, as any of us in the healthcare world would do, and of course that's part of it, and I know a little bit about trauma, only that I know that it can change us epigenetically, and it can create huge problems for us, and those are things that I have to take into consideration. But that's as far as it goes, is taking it into consideration. But it can truly change. It can flip switches, like epigenetic switches, but it can turn you almost sometimes into a different person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it also mixes up our signals in terms of what's dangerous and what isn't.
Yeah.
One of the things I talk to my clients about is it's almost like if you've been in multiple trauma situations, first of all, the more traumas you've had, the more you tend to be fairly attractive to getting new ones.
Oh, that makes sense. Kind of energy.
And we talk about, it's almost like folks have a flashing neon sign above their head. And so we want to dismantle the sign.
Yeah.
But the other piece of it is it can make it difficult to determine what's a red light, what's a green light. And in trauma and after trauma, you can often sometimes confuse those two things, or everything feels like a yellow or a red light, and it gets really hard to figure out what is safe, what's a good thing to move towards. I don't know anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how, whether it's a huge significant trauma or just traumatic to us, one of the ways that people can get stuck right? You
Absolutely.
get stuck in patterns, you get stuck in the lack of understanding of what to do or where to go, kind of that frozen in time, frozen in space. How do I make changes? Turn my phone over. And anyway, which is interesting because, you know, when I see this, I see it when it comes to food.
Yes.
But I also see it, and I think of myself, you know, there's the negative self-talk, you know, you get stuck in that negative spiraling, downward spiral, you know, I'm bad, or I can't do it, or why do I keep going with the same patterns, or eating the same food that I know I'm not supposed to eat, you know. And so how is it that you work with people to move past that being stuck?
So and that stuckness actually becomes a habit that then tends to build on itself.
Okay.
So we want one of the first steps is to identify what are the habits we're in. And habits can be both overt, right? Like picking up the box of cookies. Habits can also be covert. So inside our own minds, if somebody had a videotape watching our behavior, they wouldn't be able to see it, right? And oftentimes those internal thoughts are driving some of the external choices. So we want to first of all identify what are the positive and negative habits that you're in. And most people have both. And most people can kind of nail one thing about their day, even if they're also failing every day at 4 o'clock or at 9 o'clock or something like that. And so increasing your understanding of what your patterns are. When are your most risky times? Who are your most risky people?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Who and how do you change that? And there's oftentimes more options than we give ourselves credit for. I'm working with a client right now who is looking to give up her wine habit. Right?
Everybody loves their wine.
Everybody loves their wine. I'm allergic to wine, so I don't have a wine habit, which is really kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I have other habits.
We all do.
We all do. We were actually just talking about my very heavy right foot. I have a tendency to speed. So I'm
always in a hurry. Gotta go.
Consistently working on that. No, it's more like I missed my calling as a race car driver.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like I said, we all have our habits.
Yep.
But so my client is trying to give up her wine habit. At night, she gets home, she walks in the door, she puts her bag down in this certain place, and the next thing she knows, she's opened up a bottle of wine. And then some nights, and she intends to have a glass.
Yeah. That's the hard part for a lot of people.
Except that isn't the intention, and then the reality aren't matching up.
Right.
And then she goes to bed and wakes up in the morning and is really frustrated with herself. And so there's both an internal habit of that frustration and I can't believe I did it again, I'm so worthless, right? All of that chatter. And then there's the external habit of the wine. And interestingly, one of the things that we talked about and worked on was just changing how she walks in the door. So changing the time she walks in the door, changing how she walks in the door, and then huge change. If she would like to be a moderate drinker, she's chosen not to be an abstainer. She doesn't want to give it all the way up. Don't buy wine.
Yeah, just don't have it in the house.
Literally, do not stop at the store and purchase it on the way home.
Yeah.
If it's not there, you'll feel pretty disrupted, normally for about 20 minutes. That disruption of like a craving, noticing the disruption. Oh, I know what this is. This is that craving that Carrie told me I was gonna have, right?
So the awareness is so important.
So that building awareness and identifying the patterns, what's working, what isn't, and then taking a look, how can you muddle up the pattern and make it harder to indulge in the behavior you don't want to indulge in? And how do you make it easier to indulge in the pattern you do want to indulge in? One of the things I talk to clients a lot about when they come into my office, you will often, when you walk into my office, my desk is sort of tucked up against the wall and the couch is over here. And on the right-hand side of my desk, I typically have an apple or an orange or a pile of cut up veggies or something like this. And it is choice architecture.
I love this.
So a
Yeah.
while back, I was
Mhm.
doing an analysis of my eating patterns and was like, girl, you are eating like a bad kindergartner. Right?
I love this, yeah.
Like, you were snacking on M&Ms instead of on veggies. Like,
Yeah.
come on, you're turning 50. We
Mhm.
could do better.
Yeah.
And so I started designing my environment to make it harder to get to the thing that I
Mhm.
would prefer not to have,
Yeah.
and to make it so easy to get to the thing I do want to have that it was almost impossible not to choose it.
Right.
And then I made it a game. How many
I love this.
servings-
And so this is the thing that like the tech world is doing, right? It's gamifying
gamify
and
it.
making it kind of fun and sort of a challenge and exciting. And anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you know,
Mhm.
this is something about humans. We like games, but I guess
Well-
everything that lives, they like to play.
And part of why we like to play is we're mammals.
Mm-hmm.
Mammals are inherently more likely to move towards rewards than they are to do just about anything else, except for move
Yeah.
away from pain. We're
Mhm.
real good as mammals at moving away from
Yeah,
pain.
yeah.
But are you a dog person, horse person, cat person?
Dogs and horses. I
Yeah.
have 3 dogs, no horses anymore, but
Yeah.
my day's coming.
Have your dogs ever played with you for no good reason?
Yes.
Probably pretty frequently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do they get real depressed when they see a suitcase come out?
Yeah. Yes. I know. They see me heading toward the door. Their ears go.
No, right? Their whole little body shrink. It's so
sad.
Right? Mammals.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
avoid pain, mommy's leaving.
Yep.
Move towards reward, mommy wants to play with me.
Mm-hmm.
So if we reward ourselves, so we like to win, and we like,
Yes.
and that's a big piece of playing
Mhm.
games, is
Mhm.
trying to win.
Yeah.
And there's victory in trying to win. So if you
Mhm.
make something a game, all of a sudden you're triggering that inner mammal in you that wants to play and be victorious.
Yeah. So how did you gamify the food, your veggies and fruit on your desk?
I set a goal for myself to have 5 to 9 servings of fruit and veggies a day.
Okay.
Right? So
Mhm.
5 is kind of the minimum.
Right.
9 is, getting 9 separate servings is, I feel like,
Mhm.
major victory, right?
Pretty good. Yeah.
I don't get to 9 that often, but I get to 5 pretty often, partially because it's like you don't get to leave until you've eaten your stuff.
Oh.
So it's like in each
Mhm.
time in between clients, then I'm hungry, I'm excited. It's keeping me fueled through the day
Yep.
because particularly certain days of the week I work really long days,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's become fun. And then I feel like I've done something good for myself,
Mhm.
and then I can kind of pat myself on the back. And all of a sudden, it's this game that
Mhm.
I play,
Yeah.
just with my own self.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's, it's, you tell people, because I will sometimes have things in the house that I shouldn't. It's not too often. There are
Sure.
obviously are levels, and I live with someone who I also have to take into consideration
Yep.
because he's not as strict as I am,
Mm-hmm.
but he's pretty good,
Mhm.
right? And so I tell people, kind of like with the wine, don't have it in the house.
Mhm.
I also know that a lot of times people have kids. And so I kind of want to talk through this because I don't have kids.
Mm-hmm.
People who have kids and the kids want to have what they want to have.
Sure.
But my thought is, who's doing the grocery shopping? And if you don't have it in the house, sometimes I think it's kind of an excuse to, well, I need to pick this up for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's not healthy. It's donuts or whatever it is. I'm going to give it to the kids on the weekend. But then, of course, it's there, so you're going to eat it too.
But I don't know if you and I grew up around the same time because we're almost the
Mhm.
same age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your household was like growing up, but
It's very unhealthy.
we actually I had a reasonably healthy household.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a really good cook,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad and brother and I were really, really interested in eating what my mom cooked, and my friends would
Mhm.
come over, and so there was kind of
Nice.
some rituals
Mhm.
around food and feeding people that
Fun.
I've totally adopted,
Yeah,
which is
that's
great.
great.
But we didn't have things like Doritos in the house all the time.
Mm.
But they also weren't off limits. So
Okay.
it was that notion of, and I think my mom was teaching balance before this was
Mhm.
popular to
Yeah.
teach, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But we'd go to the beach and we'd grab chips and sodas and, whatever, because it
Mhm.
was a day at the beach.
It was a fun day.
and so
I
it
get
was
that.
paired with,
Okay.
it was paired with fun, and it was also paired with the concept of special.
Yes.
So we would have dessert, but that didn't happen every single night. And I think somehow we've gotten into this idea that we are obliged to entertain our children 100% of the time. But that's actually really bad for us and for them, because it's robbing them of having something be special. And so having treats, the word treat is inherently about something being special.
Yeah.
So please have a treat, especially if you're capable of being a moderator.
Right.
So if there are some foods that you that are going to trigger a binge no matter what, do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Don't have those around.
Right.
And don't start indulging because you know that it's not going to work. But for the rest of things, allow yourself and enjoy having them be special, but also teach your kids that same idea. You're not, if you let your kids eat candy all day long, watch TV all day long, and then you would be surprised that and not go to school, then you'd be surprised that they don't grow up to be great adults.
And they grow up anxious and sad and unhealthy.
And all of these things.
All of the things that go along with it, yeah.
But this notion, this pressure that we have right now to make everything be fun all the time for our kids, it's really doing them a disservice. So instead, teaching them that we do this sometimes, but we do this most of the time.
That's great. I like that. In what you didn't say, and I'm glad you didn't say it, is there are a lot of people who will say everything in moderation. I think being moderate is one thing, but everything in moderation is a totally different story. And that's what a lot of people have, this mindset, everything in moderation, which is very much a relative view or relative term. And I think it can lead to negative effects, everything in moderation. I don't like that at all. But if you are, what I appreciated was you said, if you know how to moderate, which is a totally different thing and a totally different story altogether.
Well, if you know how to moderate is touching on the concept of balancing things. And it's hopefully encouraging folks to understand that it goes back to that comment that I mentioned at the very beginning. Your best life is not perfect.
Right.
Your best life is messy and is in the choice realm instead of in the victim realm. So the victim realm is things are happening to me.
Yeah.
Oh, things are so hard, right? And trust me, things are really hard sometimes. But that choice realm is, okay, this thing has happened. Now what are my options? And so doing an assessment of what works and doesn't work, then you have a lot of power.
I do love that. And it goes back to getting stuck. And I wrote on here, there's something that we had talked about was body shame. Body shame. So many of us have this, and I've been there, and I'm surrounded by people who are there. We're ashamed of our body and the way that it looks, and then it goes into the food or into the alcohol or into the whatever it is that
you're avoiding, or doing too much of.
Yeah, and making that transition from the victim place. Which I think is a very important thing, because I think that psychological it can take I think it takes
Conscious programs are likely to
a lot of times I'm talking about, the understand why you keep eating the food you're eating, or and then to help you understand fad BS. It used to be a natural understanding, back prior to the Industrial Revolution, where people would understand these are the herbs that I need to eat for this situation, this is the food that I need to eat, and this is, I feel bad, this is what I need to take it, and they would listen to their bodies. Whereas these days, we are programmed to take an antidepressant, take Advil, take something that's the quick fix, when these things aren't quick fixes. They aren't intended to be. It took a long time to get to this point. It's going to take a while to get out of it.
And some of our quick fixes are actually suppressing our ability to pay attention to what we need.
Yeah.
And the other problem with the quick fixes is they're predicated on getting to a life where you have no problems. Unfortunately,
Not happening.
Not happening.
Yeah.
Right? And so that push towards, and it's good to notice, oh, I'm in that place where I don't think we should have any problems. Right? Getting ready to come here today, it was talking about, the coffee spilled, and there's a dental emergency, and there's this going, and there's that going, and it was like, no, but I have somewhere to be, right? Is kind of how a natural human response is. I have somewhere to be. It's important. Life doesn't necessarily pay attention to what we need. We have to pay attention to what we need. So it was like, slow down. It's been a messy morning. Let's double check that we have everything that we need, and then leave the house. Right? And it was one of those days where things were messy enough, like the coffee spills the last 2 seconds of leaving the house. I was like, this is messy enough that I think I need to go back in and just double check that the stove is turned off. Right? Like, it's been a little bit of a flighty morning. Let's take the extra 22 seconds to walk in the house and go, yes, the stove is off. Okay. Now this becomes a problem when it's OCD and you're always checking and you have to check every day and you check 17 times, and so we are not talking about OCD here. What we're talking about is awareness of like, whoa, like this morning was real messy. Okay, that probably means I need to slow down. I actually didn't make any phone calls on the drive here. I really paid attention to driving. I actually paid attention to my speed. But it was like, okay, knowing that this is a little bit of a, riled up morning, that's an invitation to slow down. And I think if we can start using that same approach with food, especially if you're realizing, oh my gosh, I've gotten too hungry.
Yes.
Whoa, okay, that's actually the time to slow down. What's my next best move is a question that I love helping clients ask. Because you're doing an assessment, but you have to get into the present moment enough to be able to do the assessment. If we're just overwhelmed by emotions and then we're really worried about something, or we're really upset about something that happened, we're going to be in a swirl, and that swirl is not going to lead us in a positive direction.
Right, because essentially you're taking out the thinking part. So if you're not assessing the situation, if you're not sitting in the moment and understanding what's going on, and then when you're starving, because we all get to that point where we're like, okay, I'm just going to eat everything that's in front of me. Sit back and say, I can wait another 2 seconds to have something that actually is going to feed my body, and not have access. Well, you might have the access, but not grab the things that are not going to make you feel good and give you the energy. And so often we eat things that just bring us down, and what happens then is
then
things just get worse.
Up, and then your body feels bad.
You feel bad, your body feels bad, and then you feel bad, and it's all creating inflammation. And we talk about this stuff all the time. It can be these really big downward spirals when really all you need to do is maybe grab that piece of chicken and a carrot or something and eat it while you're cooking something. Have a snack, you know,
Yep.
but, you know,
Yep.
eat just, it's that awareness and being in the moment. And like you said, I love that you say it's assessing.
Yep.
Take in that assessment and then start moving forward.
And I think a piece of the assessment also is sometimes recognizing, oh, I don't have any great choices right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? We were on a road trip in December,
Yeah.
and the weather was much more complicated than we had hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, our dinner option is at a gas station in the middle of rural Wyoming,
Yeah.
right? There were not going to be a ton of great choices
Yeah.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of then beating ourselves up,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we've been trying so hard, where are my
Mm-hmm.
veggies, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, okay, slow down, take a deep breath. Here's your option.
Mm-hmm.
One option is not to eat. That's not
Probably
really
not
an
the best option.
We have another 4.5 hours
Mhm.
with 80-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh.
We need to be alert, on
Yeah.
deck, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, okay, not eating is not going to be the healthy choice. What choice do we have?
Mhm.
And went and sorted through and figured out we got some almonds, we
Yep.
actually got some fried chicken because we're like, hey, it's better than
Mm-hmm.
any of the other options, and it ended up feeling like a victory, even if later
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't necessary. It's like, oh yeah, you know, that isn't going to sit super well.
Yeah.
Okay, I know this already,
Mm-hmm.
and let's plan for breakfast in the morning
Right.
to really, you know,
Mm-hmm.
let's have the veggie omelet in the morning,
Yeah.
because last night wasn't a great,
Mhm.
you know, wasn't a great scenario.
Yeah.
And so I think it's that piece of figuring out when you're stuck. Like if you get home and you're starving and you realize you haven't done a great job
Mhm.
grocery shopping, how can you slow down, either make the best choice in the moment with what you have, or flex and realize like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm actually going to need to run to the store real quick.
Right. Yeah.
So trying to give people more options, but again, that's in that assessment,
Mm-hmm.
and that assessment you want to get into.
Perfection is, there's no such thing.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah. So we all have our moments and we have our times, and we don't want to, we don't want these to happen every day, but we also don't want to sit in our imperfections and beat ourselves up.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think this is where working with a professional actually is super helpful, because there's a difference between overeating because you're anxious
Mm-hmm.
and overeating because you haven't eaten all day.
Yeah.
So figuring out when are you overeating and why, and there
Mhm.
might be a couple of other options, and I'm sort of talking a lot today about binging or overeating because I don't know, that's what's in my head today, but
It's
I
wherever
think-
it goes is good.
but I think it tends to be a big problem that I see in my
Mhm.
practice, and people using food in ways that aren't about fueling your body and are
Right.
instead about
Mm-hmm.
managing frustration,
Yeah.
or using food as an avoidance
Mhm.
or some sort of coping mechanism. So helping people figure out a way to have a healthier relationship with
Yeah.
food so they can enjoy themselves and enjoy
Mhm.
eating more.
Yeah. Yeah, I always, when I'm talking to people or when I'm doing talks or whatever it is, and for me, myself, this is very personal, I think about what it is that's going to make me feel the best.
Mhm.
I don't always make the perfect choice, but I have the mindset, and it's also taken me a lot of years. I told you I grew up in a fairly unhealthy, not an unhealthy home, but
Mhm.
we always had tubs of ice cream, and we did the sausage and the macaroni and cheese and the canned beets, which I will never ever eat canned beets.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Oh, it was awful, awful. It was just, my mom grew up in a home that didn't have a lot of money, and so she
Yeah.
did what she knew, and that's what we did. And so I have no idea where I came from, because the science and the nutrition is not anywhere in my home. Well, it is now.
Right.
I mean, but there was no understanding then. For the most part, there was this is just food, and food feeds you. It's not. Do you get where I'm going?
And
Yeah.
I also think that the food that was available, we had so many less fake food choices.
Right. That's true.
So
I don't know. We had a lot of TV dinners.
but interestingly, if you look at the ingredients on TV dinners from when we were growing up, they were generally made out of real ingredients.
Interesting.
If you
I
look
didn't
at
then,
the
yeah.
TV ingredients now, the ingredient list is this long. It used to be this
disgusting,
long.
yeah.
Still wasn't
Yeah.
probably great for you,
Sure.
right? Salisbury steak or whatever.
That's exactly what I was thinking
Yep.
of.
But if you look at the difference,
Mhm.
there's now all of these binders and interesting
preservatives
and
chemicals
and so there's things that are now
Mhm.
presented as food. And this is one of the things that's interesting when my clients come in and they're ready to do weight loss as part of their journey.
Mhm.
And they'll be interested in going into one of the programs that's either a crash diet, really low calories, or
Mhm.
it encourages eating a bunch of fake food.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
it's
you
awful.
can track that better.
Yeah. It makes me crazy.
Except it's not real food.
No.
And it tends to taint people's moods.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to help them make choices, even if they're on one of the programs
Mhm.
that encourages that, it's like, okay, so how do we use the program to actually be using real food
Yeah.
instead of prepackaged food?
Yeah. Because you might be eating, but you're probably nutrient deficient.
Yes.
Which is going to do what? It's going to create inflammation. It's going to create anxiety. It's going to create weight gain because your body's like, I've got to hold on to all of this because I don't know what else to do. And then if you're going low calorie, which is not sustainable, you go low calorie, your body's thinking the same thing. You may lose the weight, but you're probably losing muscle tissue. And then what happens? You gain it right back, and you're gaining fat instead of muscle. So that's why it's important to work with somebody on the mental and emotional piece, but also somebody who understands the food and what your food needs. This is why I like running labs and understanding how the body's functioning, why it's functioning as it is, and what it is that's going to feed you the best to allow you to meet your goals. So having those, which is why I keep going back to a team, but I say it all the time. I have people who I work with people as a team because I'm not the best at everything, and I know
not.
that. Yeah. And so I just think
Me
it's
neither.
yeah, shocking. I know. So it's just I think it's really important to keep that in mind. I do need to take a quick break though, because we got to talk about our sponsor, and then I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
But so Cellcore Biosciences is our sponsor. Any chance you've heard of Cellcore?
I've just through you. Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So they're a supplement company, but super unique in their supplements, but mostly in the delivery system of the herbs and nutrients that are in the supplements. Their focus really is mitochondrial health and cellular health, getting to the foundation of health and eliminating the body of toxins, microbes, worms. Nobody really likes it when I talk about worms, but worms is a big, big problem for people. And it can really inhibit our forward movement in trying to get healthy. And so I see a lot in my practice people who we reduce symptoms and they come back, and we reduce symptoms and we come back, and they come back. Why is that? It's because we're not getting to the root cause of the problem. And oftentimes it comes back to some kind of infection, whether it's parasitic, whether it's worms, whether it's microbial, which then creates the mitochondrial dysfunction, the cellular dysfunction, and on and on and on, right? Leading to disease. Disease is a symptom. I don't care if it's ALS, I don't care if it's diabetes, I don't care if it's just gut pain or joint pain. They're all symptoms. Diseases are just a group of symptoms, and we got to figure out what's causing the symptom. Anxiety, depression, all symptoms. Overeating, cravings, they're all symptoms. So I love the way that they work. They use these bioactive carbons that allows the nutrients, the herbs, to get deep into the cells, and then also allows for that the regeneration of the mitochondria. And anyway, it's an amazing company. I love what they're doing. It's really cool stuff. But nobody likes it when I talk about worms. But I'm just going to keep talking about worms because it's a thing.
It is a thing.
It's a thing. So I appreciate them. I appreciate them for being our sponsor. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, it was talking about, I wrote it down. This is your blog.
The
right?
joy of middle ground,
Yes.
I think is the blog title.
It is. And I really appreciated it. And I think that it's important to, goes right along with what we're talking about. When you feel stuck, you're way over here, or when you're, the extremes don't really get us anywhere.
No.
Right?
And we often feel like if we are at one extreme, our only option is to go from there all the way over to the other extreme. And newsflash, pro tip, doesn't work.
Write it down.
Doesn't work, but it's very tempting, and it's oftentimes what we are getting presented in society as our best option, and sometimes even our only option. And this relates back actually to the question that you asked earlier about body shaming. So we have this notion of, if my body isn't terrific, as defined by, I don't know, being a size 0 or something, and there's 12 people in the world who are naturally a size 0, everybody else is starving themselves to get there. So it's like, if I'm a size 22 and my only option is to be a size 4, it's very unlikely that the 22 is going to feel great in the 22, but it's also going to feel colossally impossible to get to the 4, right? Or the 0 or the 2 or whatever. And so the question becomes, and this is a question I ask all the time in general in my practice, is what's most important to you? What would health look like for you? We're unlikely to make anxiety go all the way away. With food, you need to eat multiple times a day.
It's
so
important. Do not eat.
Yes. The idea of like, oh, well, I've been overeating, now I need to stop eating. No. And as soon as you stop eating, right, go on one of those crazy, have you heard of the crazy hormone diets where you're injecting yourself with hormones and you're only eating 400 calories a day or 600 calories a day or something like this? It's unbelievably nuts. Please do not do that. But
what kind of hormones? Sorry, I didn't know this.
I had a couple of folks in like moms groups when this was a few years back when my daughter was in middle school, and they were all on this hormone diet, and they're injecting themselves with something, and then they're having 600 calories a day.
Oh, it's the HGH?
Yeah, that.
I do remember this. I knew a couple of people on it too. These things are not sustainable. You can't eat 600 calories. It's hard to eat 1,000 calories and actually sustain. You will lose the weight. It will come back. It's not okay. Yeah.
So the option was, right, like these folks were so desperate and so unkind to themselves and about themselves that their only option was to do this dramatic thing. Of course, inevitably, it doesn't work. Or it works gangbusters, but then as soon as you try to go back to being normal, you haven't actually put in any normal habits. So trying to get folks away from the extremes and to understand that there's this lovely myriad gray area in between whatever extreme you currently feel like you're at. This is not going to be the ideal solution. 99% of the time.
I talk to people about that a lot. It is amazing. How it is that we can accept that eating these ways that these bad diets put out are okay.
Isn't that strange?
It's crazy. I don't understand it at all. And you put your body into such a tailspin. And again, just like you said, there might be some success, but what happens after? And you hit the nose. Hit it on the nose.
Hit the nail on the head.
Thank you. I was going to combine those, like something's not right here. That's what gets me is when people come to me and they tell me that they've been on this diet or they've been doing this and this quick fix or whatever the case may be. And I ask the question, so what happened? Well, I gained the weight back, or this happened, or whatever, or things, the symptoms came back. It's like, because you didn't learn how to eat.
Correct.
You didn't learn your body. You're not understanding what it is that your body needs. There are, when you said this already, in most cases, there are no quick fixes. But my goal, and yours, when working with people is to educate, to help to understand who you are, who I am, who you are, because we are all individuals, which is, it goes back to the truth of the show and the truth of each of us, you know, is your truth in your health is different than everybody else.
Yes.
Your genetics are different, your brain is different, your trauma is different, your history is different. Even from the person you live with, from your twin, you are different and unique in what your needs are and what your body needs and what foods you need. And it's an understanding, you know, it's that education understanding of your body, not everybody else's body.
And this is a huge piece of my work, is empowering you to live your
Yes.
best life.
Yes.
And what's the feel of the life that you want to have?
Mhm.
You know, I've mentioned a couple of times, I enjoy taking care of people, I enjoy cooking for people, I enjoy having a very open house. Kind of the more the merrier perspective. One of my best friends has a very closed private house. There is not better or worse houses.
Yeah.
There's just more likely to have prom get ready at my house than
Right.
at her house, right?
Right,
Which
yeah.
is fine. But there's pros and cons to almost everything in anyone's best life, and figuring out what the feel is of your life that you're interested in, and then determining how well that works for you.
And I would imagine it would be a little bit of a process for somebody, and sort of talking through it, to actually sit back, analyze what it is that they want their life to be
Yes.
and to look like.
Mhm.
And when it's their life, it's their body, it's their mind, it's their home, it's, you know, their clothes, it's all of these
Yeah.
things, their food. You sit back and you really feel it, take it in, learn it, and then you take baby steps, because baby steps, you have to, I think we have to take baby steps in most everything to have some success, for the most part, right? But to just know what you want and what you need, and then action, you know, take those actionable and aligned steps.
And figuring out, how do you, again, back to the concept of choice architecture, how do you empower yourself and your world to make it easy, have some replicatable, patternable habits that are easy to figure out, particularly if you're making changes with food. What are some things that are on almost any menu that you can just plan to have, so you don't have to spend a ton of time and energy agonizing about what you're going to have or being able to go out. Instead, it's like, oh, I know if I order this versus that, I tend to feel good, it tends to help me stay on my program, and I'm good to go. So that notion of, and that's that empowerment piece. So figuring out what are the choices that work well for you, and then how can you systematize them a little bit.
I would love to hear some examples. One of the examples that you gave me the other day, which I love, it wouldn't work for me, but
Ooh, now I'm curious. What did I say?
I know. Well, it was going to bed in your gym clothes, so you just wake up, get out of bed, and you go to the gym.
Yep.
I don't like sleeping in a lot of clothes,
Yep.
so it would make me crazy, especially tight clothes. It
Yep.
would kind of make me crazy. But you know, I have heard, you know, you put your tennis shoes right there next to the bed. You know, what are the things that are going to make life easier on you to make the habit changes doable, and actually create the habit? So what are some other...
A huge piece of that is making them as simple as possible.
Yeah.
I was talking to a client yesterday about journaling. She was talking about how much she hates journaling. And at the same time, she's like, I know that I need to be writing some of this down. I can't just have everything circulating in my head. Like, I need to get some things up and out. Oops. I need to get some things up and out. And so the suggestion was, okay, well, let's make this as simple as possible. Let's do 1 sentence a day. She's like, I can do 1 sentence a day. And I said, and now let's make sure that you actually do it by building in a reminder. So she set a cell phone alarm for 9 p.m., 1 sentence a day. Boom.
Nice.
Right? So the example of the gym clothes to bed.
Yeah.
Similarly, I don't like tight things
Yeah.
at bedtime. No, thank you. But I have some clients who that has successfully transformed how they wake up in the morning. So they wake up in the morning, they're already in their clothes, and they're like, oh, snap, I might as well just hop on the bike.
Just go. Yeah.
Right? Similar, my client with the wine who's trying to shift how she drinks wine. She comes home, she doesn't put her bag in the same place. She comes home and she's actually sitting in her car for 2 or 3 minutes before she walks in the door. to sunrise. We are safe enough to shut down an entire sensory system. We're probably pretty safe.
Yeah.
So she sits in her car, she closes her eyes, and she decides how she wants to walk into the house. That, it takes like 90 seconds.
Yeah.
That 90 seconds, she walks in with a different energy, a more forward present energy, instead of walking in, all Twitter-baited about her day. So small changes, that strangely helpful.
Yeah. One of the things that I like to tell people, because we know the science behind meditation, and I know that you talk about meditation. You don't lead, you're a part of a meditation group? Or
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But how important it is to take that time, the prayer time. For me, it's some prayer, it's meditation, it's a little bit of a combo. The sun's finally out. My favorite place to meditate is outside in the sun, and it's the best thing in the world.
The other day I woke up in the morning and I was like, God, turn the lights back on. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
But, people, you hear it all the time. I said the same thing. I can't meditate. My brain just goes and just goes. And that's why it's called a practice. It's what we do is we practice it. But it's like what you said. You take it back. You go 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. I don't care if it's in the shower. I don't care if it's, wherever it is. You take those 5 minutes and you sit and you be still. If it needs to be guided, be prepared and have a good guided meditation set up. And there are so many apps out there for good guided meditations. I found one, and it was 30 minutes, which it made me so happy. I don't usually meditate for quite that long, but it was a Joe Dispenza
his
meditation.
stuff is so interesting.
Oh my gosh, crazy stuff. And it was in the sun. It was like I've been craving this since October or whenever our last really nice warm day was. And it was amazing. It was a great meditation. Anyway, I don't need to get too deep about that, but when you start to figure it out and you start to get there, and I don't always get there. I rarely get there.
You and everyone else, by the way.
Right.
It's a total myth that meditation makes your mind quiet.
Yeah.
Your mind is going and going and going. Meditation is noticing that your mind is going and going and going. It is not, success is not a quiet mind.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, because I think it's important to know, important to hear.
Yep.
But it does, if you're still, it does take your body, your biochemistry, from the crazy, sympathetic, right? From the crazy to the calm, the parasympathetic. So from the crazy to the rest and digest. And so it works, and it works every time, just being still.
Yes.
And closing your eyes.
And it gets you back into that assessment mode that we mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Right? When you're in the swirl, most of us know what the swirl feels like. It typically feels like tension or tightness in our guts. It tends to feel like raciness in our chests. Sometimes we're sweaty or just feeling sort of that kind of motion.
Yeah.
And then it tends to look like literally your thoughts swirling around and feeling just almost blinded by whatever emotion is coming up. Whoa, I'm in the swirl. Put your feet on the ground. And one of my favorite things to do is to teach people and victory here is trying this, it's not succeeding.
Yeah.
But if you're joining us at home or on Facebook, press your left foot into the ground. And just see if you can roll your toes, whether they're in shoes or you're barefoot or in your socks, doesn't matter. Roll your toes and see if you can feel all 5 toes. Most of the time we can feel our big toe and our baby toes, and then it's like a clump in the middle. So, like I said, success here is trying this. Victory is just in the trying. Occasionally you'll actually be able to feel all 5 toes, but it brings you right into that present moment.
Yeah.
Drops you in, and then you can say, oh, I'm anxious. Oh, I'm upset. Oh, I'm mad. Okay, what's my next best move?
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
So, it's fun.
Awesome. Well, another hour down. It goes so fast.
It goes so fast. This is so much fun.
Well, we'll do it again. I think that these are just really great talks, and I love bringing in well, I mean, I do it all the time, is bringing in the stuff that I'm clueless about.
You have some nice baseline knowledge here. I'm going to give you some credit.
A little bit. But I love, this is how I learn, right?
Yes.
I learn because I want everybody else to learn, but this is where I learn too. And my favorite thing in the world is to learn.
Me too. Yes.
So, tell us real quick where you can be found, all of the things that everybody needs to know about you.
So I can be found, my website is coloradotherapycare.com. I am just about to launch my website that is specific to speaking, and my book, which is coming out in 6 weeks.
Show the book.
It's so fun. So this is the draft from the publisher. I have one more edit. Oh my gosh, the editing. And then it will get printed without this lovely stripe on it.
Self-help on the go.
Self-help on the go.
I love it.
But that website will be specific to speaking, book, consulting, things like that.
Awesome.
But individual therapy, small groups, and I just really enjoy helping people navigate the realities of life with more ease.
Good. So yeah, and it's needed. We all need a little more ease. So thank you for joining us. Nikki Burnett, Taste Life Nutrition. This is Taste Life Nutrition Radio. You can find me everywhere at Taste Life Nutrition. You can go to the website, fill out the assessment that comes straight to me, and I will reach out to you personally, and we'll talk about it, whether it's small stuff or big stuff, and we'll see if we need to, kind of have a few helpful tips or dig deeper, which is what I enjoy, is digging deeper. Of course, we have our Body Bliss course that is available, and we have group coaching that we've just started. So if you have interest in that, they're all on the website. You can go to the Facebook page, Taste Life Nutrition, the Instagram, all of the places. It's hard to keep up with. But thank you for joining us. Remember, we're here now every week, Thursday, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and we will catch up with all of you next week. See you later.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you.